you doing today? And welcome to the last episode of the McGraw Report. I am your host, Harry McGraw. Happy last of 2018. It has been a great year for me. It has been a great experience trying to do this show. I think I did a pretty good job. If you feel otherwise, please call in. We're going to have a very exciting show today. And before we go anything further, I'd like to thank everybody that helped me on the studio today, my whole entire team. I'd like to thank Can TV Studios for allowing me to host this show and do a good job. I'd also like to thank my father as well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Now, let's get this show started today. Now, 2018 has been a very interesting year, to say the least. A lot of laws have been getting passed. A lot of regulation has happened. Donald Trump has been on a rant throughout the entire year. Once again, please try to call in if you want to chime in on some of the topics today. So, topic number one. All right, the topic number one today is going to be the government shutdown. As you know, the government is currently shut down at the moment, partially shut down. And we're going to talk about how does that affect you, what does that mean for the future, and is this such a big deal? Another topic we're going to talk about is 2018 recap. Like I said earlier, we're going to talk about some of the most controversial subjects throughout 2018, starting from January to December. And we're going to talk about 2019 quarter one, which is a pretty big year, especially for Chicago. Election time's coming up. We're expected to have a new mayor since Rob Emanuel has stepped down. So, nevertheless, I'm going to play this clip. It's a 60-second clip just to show you what does the government shutdown means and how does it affect you. And then after the video, we're going to talk about it for a little bit. Give me 1 second.
It's possible that we'll have a shutdown. I would say the chances are probably very good.
The U.S. federal government has shut down, partially. 380,000 workers are being forced to take unpaid leave. The shutdown affects 9 agencies, including Homeland Security, the Justice Department, and the State Department. But even during the shutdown, some government services continue to operate, for some time at least. More than 420,000 people are deemed essential workers, such as air traffic controllers, prison guards, weather service forecasters, and food safety inspectors, and they'd continue coming to work. Federal Bureau of Investigation agents, Forest Service firefighters, Border Patrol agents, and TSA workers also keep working through any temporary closure. A shutdown doesn't affect the mail or the delivery of Social Security checks. Some national parks may still be open to visitors, but some of their facilities, including restrooms, may be closed. With tax season on the way, more than 87% of IRS employees get furloughed. Those remaining continue tax collection and investigations. The agency doesn't process any refunds until after the shutdown ends. The State Department keeps consular services running, but passport agencies may be closed if they're located in a government building affected by the shutdown. The effects for people other than the furloughed employees themselves may not become noticeable until next Wednesday. That's because President Trump is giving federal workers a 4-day weekend, having declared Christmas Eve a federal holiday along with Christmas Day.
It's possible.
Okay. How you like that? That is the breakdown on the government shutdown. See, now, what's very, very important to us and might be important to a couple of viewers today is the last part. The last thing he had said and snuck in there is that if this government shutdown continues, it may delay your federal income tax. And there's a lot of individuals that are waiting on that income tax. There's a lot of individuals that since the government has been shut down, not able to get anticipation check, which is somewhat of like a loan that some of these providers like H&R Block, TurboTax, stuff like that, are getting people to get ahead with pretty big refunds. So that's a pretty interesting situation that we're involved in. Now, when this is the first time that I can recall a government shutdown transitioning from 2018 to 2019, just from one year to the next year. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I am, please try to call in and talk about it. But this is the one this is something that I haven't really experienced or haven't really noticed in a very long time. So the government shutdown. There are still people working. There are still people working in the jails and stuff like that. So it doesn't affect everybody as much. But Trump has definitely been on the tear this entire year. There's a lot of people that like Trump. There's a lot of people that do not like Trump. And he is our president, so we must respect him, and we must speak good things about him because he's a leader of our country. So we're going to talk about the next topic. The next topic is 2018 recap. In 2018, we had a lot of mass shootings, unfortunately. A little bit less than last year, but it doesn't matter. A death is a death, and we need to slow down on these mass shootings. Now, another big topic that was pretty huge was the Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was convicted from 3 to 10 years on the claims that he had sexually misconduct with different type of women. Sexual abuse is a real big topic in 2018. We're talking about the Me Too movement. So the Me Too movement really was a big cloud, and a lot of individuals got booked. A lot of individuals, we raise awareness. We raise awareness on the pressures of the female at the workplace or different industries using power to manipulate women to move up in the ranks of Hollywood or even just local jobs and stuff like that. So 2018 was a big spotlight on the Me Too movement and equality within the workplace. Another thing in 2018 that we have to talk about, what happened in February. We sent a car to the moon. Now, the owner of Tesla, Elon Musk, had a vision. And his vision was to send a car to the moon to orbit around the Earth. And we have video of that as well. Now, some people believe that's true. Some people doesn't believe it's true as well. But there's two sides to every story. Elon Musk is the creator of the Tesla. That's the electric car. One of the most rising car brands in the United States at the moment is thriving. And hopefully he can, escalate the economy so everybody can have a different choice of, we can use alternative resources instead of using gas, because we have greenhouse gases, we have global warming, which is a real problem that's heating up the planet, that's messing up the ecosystem. So shout out to Elon Musk. We have another topic we talk about in 2018 is also another topic that I talked about in 2018 was the Trump scandals. Trump had drained the swamp. Now, what does drain the swamp mean? Drain the swamp is he's changing everything over. The House is currently a Republican House at the moment. It was Democrat. He's putting his guys in there. It seems like that Trump has turned Congress into one of his shows. This is the first time we had a president that was a celebrity that's now running our country, and some people think it's a mockery. Another thing, 2018, that was pretty big. It probably wasn't that big over here, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It was the social credit, and if you did your research and you want to talk a little bit about that, you can please give us a call. We have like 20 minutes on the show. We can talk about some of the things you want to talk about. But social credit system was a very, very, new system that they implemented, and if you're not hip to the social credit system, is actually implemented in China. Now, what they do is, imagine every time you make a purchase, before I get into depth into the social credit system, make sure you check that out on CAN TV, the McGraw Report. It should be like 2 weeks ago. Now, what happened was China is 80% under surveillance. That means 80% of their country, whether it's a business or outside, they even have agents that are civilians that incentivize people to spy on people to make sure that they're following the rules and they're doing what they have to do. So 80% of the country is under surveillance. So if 80% is under surveillance, they're able to implement this service called the social credit system, which means if you jaywalk, let's just say you're walking a dog, the dog poops on the ground and you don't want to pick up the poop. The technology has face recognition system that recognize your face, your eyes, and able to know who's doing what, and able to find people. And if the fine escalates, then they're able to take your right to travel. So there's some people that actually have money that actually cannot even travel, cannot even put their kids in private school because their social credit system is so damaged. So my opinion, I think that this system will be implemented in the next 2 to 5 years. I think China and Japan is like a leader of integration. Within technology, and I think United States is going to follow in their suit, and maybe things will change for the better. So another topic in 2018 that we definitely should talk about is the death of. We have the death of Aretha Franklin. She's a classic. You know, she has a lot of songs. She had a big presence in Chicago. Chicago is a really, really big art musical city, and my mother and my grandmother, they still play her stuff to this day, and condolences to her family. Another thing we want to talk about as well is what's going to happen in 2019. 2019 is going to be a big year for Chicago. We have several candidates that's trying to elect to be a mayor, and we also have new rules. You know, starting January 1st, 2019, we have 56 new laws that's going to be in effect starting January. So we're going to spend 5 to 6 minutes talking about some of the laws that you should pay attention to and that might affect you moving forward. Okay, so let's see. All right. One of the laws that we definitely should pay attention to is the so-called red flag law. Allows relatives of a gun owner to petition a court to grant a form of restraining order should evidence prove that a gun owner is in danger to themselves or others. Police can also petition a judge to grant a lethal order of protection. Okay, so what that means is that if I have a relative in my house and I am a gun owner and my relative used my gun to defend themselves, that's actually legal. You know, instead of the person using the gun and they're not the gun owner and getting in a lot of trouble. Now they're implementing a law where if, you know, I'm a legal gun owner and I leave my house and a relative uses my gun in self-defense, they should not be punished. So let's talk about another one. Okay, active shooter safety drills. All Illinois schools should conduct at least one law enforcement-led active shooting safety drill each year. The drill must be conducted within 90 days of the first day of school and include participation from all schools, personnel, and students present at the time of the drill. Now, I think that's very, very important. I think growing up, we had fire drills, we had tornado drills. Now, I've never been in a fire or a tornado that was active when I was in school, but it's good to prepare. And I believe that these active school drills is very, very important to get to show the student how to move, what to do in certain situations. So I'm glad they had that. Let's look at another. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one right here. No jury duty for new moms. Okay. HB 5745 excuses nurses' mothers from jury duty at their request. Previously, exemptions were only available to women living in the countries within populations between 75,000 and 3 million. The new law excludes all nursing mothers statewide, regardless of country population size. Okay, that's a good one. Oh, this is a great one right here. Ban on synthetic marijuana. All synthetic cannabinoids will be illegal in Illinois if they are not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration or if they misuse. SB 2341 also closes a loophole in which manufacturers could evade the law with slight alterations to their formulas. The bill attempted to create a catch-all. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, synthetic marijuana, if you're not familiar with synthetic marijuana comes in a package and they're sold at several gas stations, sometimes smoke shops. It's called Spice. There's different type of names of it, but you use it just like marijuana. It's not CBD oil. CBD is it's like artificial. It's like artificial weed. But back to the synthetic weed, there has been a lot of videos going around throughout YouTube of people taking these synthetic weeds, and some of these synthetic weeds are coming from everywhere. You know, they're coming from all over the country, and it affects with your DNA, affects with your mind. There's a lot of videos of people just, lashing out and really turn into something that's really scary. So let's go over a couple more. Okay. Get paid for using personal devices for work. Okay. Let's check this out. If you're required to use your personal phone or computer for work, your boss will be required to have a reimbursement policy starting next year. SB 2999 states employers shall reimburse employees for expenses the employer authorized or required the employee to incur. Employers are not responsible for losses due to an employee's own negligence, normal wear and tear, or theft unless the theft was a result of the employer's negligence. Okay. Do you think that's fair? Do you think this should have been added a little bit earlier? Please call in. Call in and state your opinion. But I really think that that's a pretty good law. There's a lot of, imagine like the managers. Imagine you're a manager of a restaurant and you're at home and you have to take these phone calls. You have to take, the store is calling you because they're down of inventory, or they're calling you because you might need to come in and put a couple hours in. So I believe that law is definitely necessary because for nowadays, it's like in order to have a job, you have to have a cell phone. And, it goes hand in hand nowadays. Even with some construction workers, some people save cost on not buying walkie-talkies because everybody has a phone. So if you're a company and you know that, hey, X amount of walkie-talkies might cost X amount of dollars, we can save that money and just call the guys on their cell phone. And now certain companies might rethink calling people on their cell phones and say, you know what, we're not going to call them on their cell phones because the employees can say, hey, you guys are calling me on my cell phone and this is an expense for me. I have to pay my bill. And some people might pay for minutes. Some people might pay unlimited. So it's either or. But I'm pretty sure some employers will work around that situation. So let's read another one. Safeguarding against stalking. Starting in 2019, stalking laws will be expanded to include social media. SB 3411 states that stalking behavior includes unwanted messages sent and received via social media apps. The law also will allow businesses, places of work, and schools to seek restraining orders against stalkers. That's a good one. I think that law is necessary as well. That's a really good law. I wonder if that law included, spam, people that spam, So if you have social media, I'm pretty sure you get unwanted messages from people all the time. You get all different type of traffic. I think they should include that stalking with email as well. I think our email is tied to so many different businesses. There has been reports that certain companies sell your information or see your purchasing pattern and try to sell your information to entice you into making a purchase. So I think that law is a pretty good law. We're going to check out a couple more laws. We have about 5 minutes left. If you like what I'm saying or you want to chime in, please give us a call. Until then, we're going to go back and check out another interesting law. Okay, teaching Black history. Starting next year, all public universities and community colleges must offer a course that focuses on Black history. HB 4346 outlines topics the course should cover, such as history of African slave trade, slavery in America, and slavery in the country. Okay. Well, my thoughts on that is, I believe it's very important to let us know our history in America. But my opinion is we need to focus on other things other than that we were slaves and the slave trade and the different type of bills that got us free. That's very, very important. And I think that that type of lesson or that type of literature was introduced way earlier before college and high school. I believe human beings, especially of African descent, that live in America, once we get to that adult stage, we kind of get the slave rhetoric, and we get the reason why everything came to pass. And I think when we become adults, we want to look a little bit more deeper on that or what happened before that, because we have to realize that our language was took out of our mouth, who we were. Our history, our legacy has been taken us. Our history has been taken from us. And now they're trying to teach us our history. But our history is longer than the history that they're teaching us. So I think 2019 will be very interesting, especially when these laws come about, because I believe there's going to be individuals that's thinking like me, that's going to get a little bit more deeper into the history than just being a surface dweller. So let's look at another law. Okay. Urban architectural zones. Okay. Let's see what that's about. Okay. Illinois lawmakers, Governor Reiner vetoed a bill to establish urban architectural zones that advocates say can break up food deserts in Chicago and across the state. HB 3418 allows local governments to provide incentives such as reduced water rates and utility fees and property taxes, abatements for farmers in urban architectural zones, which can be established at any municipal or county level. Okay. Let's talk about that. All right. So do you think anything like that is necessary? Do you think that, do you think we should expand on that? One more thing. It's another law I want to talk about. I want to just show you guys before we get out of here. I see they're giving me out of here. Let's see. Rear-facing car seats. This is a good one. This new law seeks to ensure children are properly restrained and are safe while traveling in cars. The state required motorists to provide approved safety seats for children under 8 years old. The new law requires that all children under the age of 2 must be secure in the rear-facing child restraint system. Very, very important. There's a lot of people that don't care for car seats. It's very, very important that you keep you keep your kids in the car seats. And that's it. So that's the rest of the show today on the McGraw Report. I'd like to thank everybody that tuned in from all our shows that we have did this year. I really appreciate it. We're definitely going to continue doing more shows in 2019. So you have a good night and you have a happy new year.